What's up, and welcome back to the Ramble On podcast, episode 28. It is the home of your soon-to-be 2026 national champion Loyola Chicago Ramblers. My name is Zach Coe. I'm joined, as always, by my five-star co-host, George Gabra. George, it's been 1 week since we recorded part one of our season preview. Here we are with part two. We had the exhibition yesterday against St. Francis, Illinois. Obviously, put the beat down on them. I don't glean too much from that one.
It's not even St. Francis, PA.
Yeah, disgusting. Gotta get an exhibition in with St. Francis, PA.
Yeah.
I believe it was a 93 to 44 beatdown of St. Francis. So nice to see some people pack in the stadium. It looked like a pretty good showing from the student section getting their first taste of the 2025 Ramblers. But like I said, I don't glean too much from that exhibition.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where even if you win a close game, you think, what's going on? What's wrong?
Yeah.
And if you lose, then it's like the sky's falling. If you go out there and you win by whatever it was 50 points, you just take care of business. It's what you're supposed to do against, I'm assuming that's a Division II school or something like that.
Yeah, two or three.
Yeah.
Maybe even three.
Just a nice little tune-up, get the guys feeling good, ready for Monday night when the real show starts here. And we're recording this on a Wednesday night, so we're 5 days from tip. And then tomorrow, I think when everybody's listening to this, will be 4 days, and pretty soon we're going to be having Loyola basketball on again, and I can't wait.
Yes, very excited. Like you said, 5 days away from tip against Cleveland State. We covered the first half of the non-con schedule in our part one of our season preview. So if you missed that, go back and check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Before we dive into part two of the non-con schedule, just some house cleaning here. Make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're now on YouTube this year. You can find us at Entering Kenmore on YouTube. I did the whole spiel on the last episode too. It's going to look like a Red Sox podcast. If you're a Red Sox fan, check out the Red Sox podcast too. If not, you can still check it out. But that's my Red Sox podcast. We're just putting everything on the same channel for now. We try to build up both platforms. Follow us on Twitter at RambleOnPod, Instagram at RambleOnPod with an underscore, and the newly launched TikTok at RambleOnPod, also with an underscore. You can find me on Twitter at @co_Zach and George at GGGabra. Now that is taken care of, George, you want to lead us in the part two of the non-con schedule preview?
Yep, let's get it going. Like we said, we covered the first six last week. We're going to do the final six here today, and we'll resume here with Loyola playing our old friends out of the Missouri Valley, the Northern Iowa Panthers. And this game is going to be in Palm Springs, California. So looking forward to that one out in the desert. Always fun. This is the Acrisure series, and again, we're very familiar with this UNI program. Played them a lot in the regular season and in the Missouri Valley tournament. So excited to see them. It's going to be a good opponent. Should be a good game. They finished 20-13 last season, 14-6 in conference play, which was good for third place in the Valley. They're bringing back guard Trey Campbell, who averaged 11.3 points per game. Ben Schwieger, who averaged 10 points per game, and Leon Bond II, he averaged 9.6 points per game. Those were their 3, 4, and 5 scorers from last year, so they are bringing back a decent amount of talent. Jacob, the Traveler Hudson, who we're all very familiar with.
He's still going?
No, I was going to say he's
okay.
done. So no revenge spot for him. So we will not be seeing him. I know he was on Loyola for a couple years, transferred to UNI, but last year was his last season. We will not be seeing him. No notable transfers on 247 Sports. They only had 5 teams ranked out of the Valley, and UNI was not one of those. They do have a very experienced, very tenured head coach, Ben Jacobson. He's entering his 20th year with the Panthers. He runs a great program. UNI is always at or near the top of the Valley. They've made the tournament several times under his tenure. So he's a really good coach, and you know that he's going to have these guys ready to go against their former rival in us in Loyola. And this is a big neutral site game that I think we have to have. It's a team, you make the move from the Valley to the A10 because it's a step up in terms of the league that you're playing in. and you're playing a team from a lesser league here, albeit a very good UNI team. But again, I think this is a game we got to go out there and win. And luckily, we will not be seeing AJ Green this go around. That's another guy who felt like he was there forever. He is playing for the Milwaukee Bucks.
He just cashed
So
in, didn't he? Got a big extension.
I did not see that, but I know he's been playing some minutes, and good for him. I know he always tortured us, and he was a guy that everybody said, hey, he's going to the league, and sure enough, there he is with the Bucks. So we will not be seeing him, thankfully. But again, this is a very good UNI team. It's a neutral site game. I know Palm Springs is a very nice spot, and you got to this is a business trip, though. You got to go out there and take care of business, and that's what I'm expecting here in this game.
Yeah, AJ Green, 4-year, $45 million extension with the Bucks.
Good for him.
Yeah. I wish someone would sign me to a $45 million extension.
Me too.
Holy. Yeah, we can split it. They can sign each of us to a $22.5 million extension.
I will take that. I will take that.
Yeah, that works out well for me. Northern Iowa, they're 116 in the Ken Palm, 106.8 offensive rating, good for 113 in the nation, 102.6 defensive rating, good for 122. Just in case you missed the last episode, for reference, Loyola is 99th in the first Ken Palm of the year. 107.6 offensive rating, that's good for 107th in the nation, and 100.3 defensive rating, good for 96th. I don't know if you checked out this Kevin Sweeney article where he ranked all 360 whatever college basketball teams in the country, but Northern Iowa comes in this one ranked 96, which is good for first in the Missouri Valley.
Okay.
They're right in front of Murray State, who was ranked number 2 in the Missouri Valley at 97. I believe Loyola came in at 66. Here it is, number 2 in the A10. Kevin Sweeney, obviously, he's a Chicago guy. He was at the DePaul exhibition, and he seems to go to a lot of Loyola games. So shout out to him. Pretty good article. I read the whole thing because I'm a sicko and wanted to read about all 360 whatever college basketball teams. But so I agree with everything you said there. This is one that you got to have. And we know from the last episode where I was talking about the Rambler Roundtable podcast with Drew and Steve Watson and Allison Guth, the women's coach, that they were not happy with their drawing in the Acrisure series. They did. They got the short end of the stick here with that one. They got Northern Iowa is their first matchup, and then their second matchup is going to be the winner of San Jose State and Tulsa is who it is.
Gosh.
So obviously not the draw that you were looking for, with some really good high major teams in there and power conference teams. So not ideal, but that's why we go out and we get that North Texas game, which I think is a great addition to the schedule. So yeah, this is one that you got to take care of business on. Like, honestly, like, we should be looking at going into Acrisure with a 2-0, or coming out of Acrisure with 2-0. I know we're going to get into our season predictions later, where we both have that. I assume you do, based on your record prediction, and I know I do too. So yeah, then obviously that next one, we're not going to preview it because we're not going to talk about both San Jose State and Tulsa. So they'll play the winner of that once we do the Acrisure series preview, which will come presumably in the days leading up to those games. We'll get into both of those teams, but what do we got next?
Next up on the schedule, we are playing another team out of the MAC, so MACtion, because obviously we're playing Northern Illinois earlier in the season, and then we're playing the Chippewas of Central Michigan. This is another team who doesn't bring back any minutes from last season, so a lot of guys enter the portal, not a lot of experience, and they're a team that is usually at or near the bottom, right with Northern Illinois in the MAC. It's not a very good program. They, I know in football they're okay, but basketball, they're usually right towards the bottom of the MAC. And again, I didn't have too much on this one aside from this is another game where I think we should win by 20 plus points.
Yeah, definitely. They're 309 in the first Ken Palm, 310 in offensive rating, slightly better in defensive rating, and then in that Kevin Sweeney piece, they rank 286. So that's good for number 11 in the MAC, which I think they have 12 teams?
13 now with the addition of UMass.
Right. Of course. How could I forget the Minutemen making the I won't call it a jump, but the fall from the A10 to the MAC because of football, where their football program's a mess.
I think they're 0-8. They're just brutally bad, so doesn't make much sense. But
yeah, like you said, teams. This is a team that they just should beat the brakes off of coming into Gentile, and it's just another one that you have to take care of business of before you get into we'll get into it, but that 2-game stretch in California, which is probably the biggest stretch of the non-con. I think you can make the argument that the what is it? We talked about it in the last episode. North Texas, Wichita State, Colorado State. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That stretch. Those are definitely the two big stretches in your non-con.
Yeah, in Central Michigan, again, they went 7-11 conference play, 14 and overall. That was good for tied for ninth with Ball State in the MAC last year. So again, yeah, just not a very good team, and I'm expecting this one to be a walkover with us winning handily against the Chips.
Yeah, definitely. And then next one coming up here, we have the second leg of a home and home with the Princeton Tigers coming out of the Ivy League. What do you got on the Tigers?
Well, obviously, we saw them last year. It was a very close game. I'm not sure if people remember that, but it came down to the wire. We wound up pulling it out 73-68, one of our biggest non-conference wins from a season ago. So usually, again, they're at or near the top. Excuse me, usually with Yale and not so much Harvard as of late, but it's usually Yale or Princeton that come out of the Ivy League every year. And they had a down year considering what they usually finish. They finished tied for third in the Ivy League, going 19-11 overall with an 8-6 conference record. Obviously, a lot of smart people go there. A lot of kids on the team are obviously not there really. I think basketball is secondary, and that's what another thing I wanted to get into here. Caden Pierce, who was on the team last year, he's got 1 year of eligibility left, and he is deciding to sit out this year to get that fancy degree from Princeton, save his eligibility to play somewhere else to make NIL money. And, I get it, you want to make NIL money, but I just feel like you're kind of quitting on your teammates and your coach. And I'm not a big fan of that, so we don't have to face him, which is good, but he will not be on the floor for the Tigers, even though he still goes to school there. They did lose their best player from a season ago in Xavier Lee. He transferred to Florida.
Thank God. That guy was so annoying to watch.
Yeah. We will not see him. They do return their 4, 5, and 6 scorers from last season in Dalen Davis, Jackson Hickey, or Hike. I'm not sure how to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And CJ Happy. So hopefully he's sad after this game. But this is a game at home. It was the home and home. We were in New Jersey last year. We're going to be obviously in Chicago for this one. I think they're a worse team by a good amount from where they were last year. So again, I think this is a game. I'm predicting another win here. Obviously, it's not going to be a walkover, I don't think, like the Central Michigan game and this next game we're going to talk about in Chicago State and some of the other games on the schedule. But a game I can see us winning pretty handily, 8, 9, 10 points, and just taking care of business at home against a solid opponent.
Yeah, last year, this was like a game that everyone kind of had circled as a real resume builder. I want to say going into the year, Princeton was higher ranked than you were, returning Caden Pierce and Xavier Lee. And obviously, they had a bit of a down year. They gave you a dogfight on the road there last year that you were able to pull away with a win. But I think it wound up being a quad 3 when I think everyone was kind of hoping for a quad 2 there. So unfortunate. And then, like you said, a big step back here, losing Caden Pierce and Xavier Lee, who I talked about it on the last episode, but Xavier Lee was pissing me off so much. Just like his haircut was so bad and the way that it bounced as he was dribbling, it was pissing me off. And, yeah. But they're 2-11 in the Ken Palm to start this year, and then they come in at 186, number 4 in the Ivy League in Kevin Sweeney's rankings. So you would think that you can get a win over them last year on the road, and then they lose their 2 best players, one due to transfer and one due to being soft and wanting to get a degree from Princeton. Ooh, look at you.
I'd rather have a degree from Loyola.
As would I. So yeah, this should be one where they're coming into your house, and yeah, it's a tough test. Usually it's a historically good team in the Ivy League, but this should be a win.
Yeah, totally agree. I think it should be a win. Looking forward to watching this one. Again, another solid game in the non-conference schedule. But after that, we play another team from the city of Chicago, a team that we've played, seems like every year or almost every year we play Chicago State.
Yeah, I think it has. Since they've made the jump, I think it's been every year.
Okay. Well, and obviously they always come to Rogers Park and play. And they were in the WAC, then they went independent, and now they are entering their second season in the NEC, which, if you missed it last week, we were talking about how horrible that conference is. I think out of the 32 conferences, it is dead last. Not a lot of talent there whatsoever. And even in the worst conference, or one of the worst conferences in college basketball, they did not do well last season. They went 4-28. They went 2-12 in conference play. They have a new head coach in Landon Bussey. He has served as the head coach for Alcorn State since 2020. And they're bringing back 3 players from last season. Nobody of note, really. Dallas Cox, he averaged 15.2 minutes per game and 4 points per game. Greg Spate played 8.4 minutes per game, 2.4 points per game. He only played 14 games. And then CJ Delancey, he's coming back with 11.2 minutes per game from a year ago, averaging 2.3 points per game. Again, this is I'm assuming they're towards the bottom of the Ken Palm here. They are not very
Sure are.
good. Yeah,
They're you have a guess?
365. I'm gonna go 358.
362 in the Ken Palm.
Okay, so fourth last. Yeah, so I mean that should just show. I mean, this is a game. I don't know how Vegas is gonna put the line out because in some of these games it just kind of depends. Like the first half, the game's already over, and you can take your foot off the gas, get guys who don't normally get minutes, and have them go out and play. But I think if we wanted to, we can win this game by 50. So I mean, this should be another this should be the easiest one on the schedule, I think.
I feel like Chicago State always plays them tough. Like, I don't know what it is about, what is their mascot?
The Cougars.
Yeah, I feel like the Cougars, I don't have the stats in front of me to back this up.
I remember one game they hung tight with us. We might have been there, actually, and that was a while ago. But aside from that, again, you might be right. I'm not totally sure, but I feel like we obviously we win the game by double digits. It's just by how many double digits, I guess.
Yeah, let me pull it up here real quick. But yeah, so last year it was 79-72 the final.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember that.
They're 6-0. 6-0. Largest margin of victory was 2020, 88-51. The smallest okay, so this was 2013, so that one doesn't count. There was a 62-53 win in 23, and
okay,
then
yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
21 was a beatdown, 92-56. But yeah,
I think that's the game we may have been at.
Yeah, that would make sense to me.
I know we covered one game when we went and saw them play, so against Chicago State, so that's probably the one.
Yeah, but the last couple of years, the Cougars have been a little pesky here, and like I said, a team that's 362 in the Ken Palm. Kevin Sweeney's a little bit more generous with his ranking of them. He has them at 333, good for number 3 in the neck. But yeah, something about, I mean, rivalry game, kind of have a target on your back as Loyola for Chicago State. So yeah, I wouldn't sleep on the Cougars. I mean, obviously, I don't think they're gonna lose this game, but they do play them tight.
Yeah, no, I kind of forgot about that. So thanks for pulling that up because obviously a lot of these guys are from Chicago and they're from Illinois and they're playing for Chicago State, which I'm assuming it's a fantastic school. But in terms of basketball, obviously Loyola has the upper hand and they have had it for pretty much, I think, both programs' existence. So they want to come in and they want to prove something and they obviously want to show Loyola that, hey, you missed out on me and this and that. But again, I just think the talent at the end of the day is going to be too strong for Loyola. And again, just I'm expecting a big win here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's absolutely imperative to make sure you have your shit together heading into this next 2-game stretch, the California swing. So you want to get us started there?
Yep. The first of these 2 games is going to be Loyola versus San Francisco at the Chase Center, home of the Golden State Warriors. I've heard it's a beautiful arena. I've also heard it's incredibly expensive to get a ticket for a Warriors game.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so they'll be playing at the Chase Center, which just I have no idea. Last year we played up in Milwaukee. This game's at the Chase Center. Play these games on campus. You make it easier for fans to get to. When you're playing in a big NBA arena like that for a game like this where it's not going to be close to full, it takes a lot of the aura out. So I don't get why this game's being played at the Chase Center, but that is where it is played.
It's for net purposes.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, you have a bigger window for what qualifies as a quad 1 and 2 if you're playing a neutral site.
Okay.
But I do think there's something to be said for playing it in a NBA arena. I think that was one of the issues that they had last year, and I forget what I was listening to, whether it be Rambler Sportsnet or just the regular broadcast for that game against San Francisco last year, where there was hardly anybody behind the basket, so they were and both teams weren't shooting well, so They were speculating whether or not the lack of people behind there was fucking with the depth perception of the shooters. So I'm sure
Yeah,
that
wouldn't
could
be
be
surprised.
yeah, that could be an issue there. But yeah, I
Yeah.
would much rather see them play, if you're gonna play a neutral site game, at, like, wherever they're playing in Hoffman Estates. I forget the name of the arena there, but something like that where it's gonna be still pretty packed and you're gonna have a decent
Yeah,
sized crowd in there, and
exactly.
like you said, it kinda detracts from the atmosphere and the aura to be playing in this big ass NBA arena when, like, obviously it's a big matchup, but it's not gonna draw NBA numbers.
Yeah, no, exactly. You'll have fans there, but probably like what, 18, 20,000 seats. You're not going to have nearly that many people there for this one. So, I mean, I guess I get
Especially
it for net, but
yeah.
I don't agree with it.
Especially given that you're gonna be, like, it's either gonna be right at the tail end of this, well, actually, no, semester will probably be over by then, so you're talking about
Yeah.
students that aren't even gonna be on campus, and I'm sure that plenty of San Francisco students travel to, or travel to go to school there, so who knows what the draw is gonna be. I mean,
Yeah.
should be a decent showing for alumni, but
Hmm.
kinda sucks that they're playing it then.
Yeah. Well, is what it is, but I'm excited for this one. We played them a lot over the last 4 or 5 years, including twice last season. The
Mhm.
first meeting that we had, obviously, was our first loss. It was a bad game. It was our first game without Jaden Dawson, who got hurt in that South Florida game.
I
And then
forgot
this
about
was the
that.
game that
Justin Moore went
Justin Moore
down.
got hurt. So, not a good game all around for us because we lost our point guard, we lost the game, and I believe that put us at 8-1. And just not a good game all around. We did get revenge though in the NIT against San Francisco. That was at San Francisco's home floor. It was a close, thrilling win to advance the NIT Elite Eight, 77-76. Great win for us to get some revenge. And now we're meeting again this year. Obviously, the Dons went 25-10 last season with a 13-5 record in the WCC. Conference that is very competitive, obviously, with Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and then you got San Fran and the team we're going to talk about next, Santa Clara. But they're always near the top of that league. They do lose their two best players from last season, Malik Thomas, who is transferring to the University of Virginia, along with Marcus Williams. They do return a lot of talent, though, and Tyrone Riley the fourth, Ryan Beasley, and Nduidu Newberry. Sorry, Mr. Newberry. I'm totally botching your first name. But those three guys were good for him last year. They're going to be back here again this year. And this is a really good team. I'm expecting them to not play super fast or super slow, like pretty medium pace, what we saw last year. And in my opinion, I think if we are going to lose, might have us losing one conference game in the preview that we're going to get to a little later. But I think if that loss is going to happen, I think this is probably the spot it would happen in. Again, I think we can win this game. Definitely. I hope we win the game. I think we have as much talent, if not more talent than the Dons, but this should be a very exciting game, and it's a huge game for both schools, obviously. Playing in mid-majors, this is a game where you got to win, make a statement, and if you have any chance at an at-large, this is one you go out and get.
Yeah, just to give a little bit of a look into where their ranking comparison to the Ramblers, they're 75 in the Kevin Sweeney ranking. Obviously, like I said, Loyola 66. That's good for number 3 in the WCC behind Gonzaga and St. Mary's. And then in the Ken Palm, they're 84. Kevin
A
is a
little ahead
little
of
bit
us.
higher. Yeah, Kevin's a little bit higher on the Ramblers, but a little bit higher on both teams, really, but a lot higher on the Ramblers than Ken Palm is. So yeah, let's I'm just trying to pull up the why is everything the women's basketball polls? Like I just can't
I don't
find
know.
them.
That's what we had for the
Yeah,
Mountain
the
West when we
Mountain
were
West.
looking that up
Here
last
we
week.
go.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was the same thing. Yeah, San Francisco is projected to finish third in the preseason poll behind Gonzaga and St. Mary's, which makes sense. And then projected to finish fourth in the WCC is this next team that we're traveling to, which I think is another neutral site game, right? Santa Clara.
Yep, this one is going to be played in Santa Cruz, which is very close to Santa Clara. So again, another neutral site game where it's not really a neutral site game because this game is close to the Santa Clara campus. But again, along with San Francisco, as well as the three we talked about last week, North Texas, Wichita, and Colorado State, and then obviously the Northern Iowa game. This is a huge game. I think you put it right there with San Francisco and Colorado State, I'd say is probably the three biggest non-conference games, and these are back-to-back, both in California. So looking forward to watching this one. On the Broncos, they went 21-13 last season, 12-6 in the WCC, finished in fourth place in that conference. Very solid program led by 10th-year head coach Herb Sendick. And this is a very good non-conference opponent. I'm glad they scheduled this game. Both these games being out in California, if you can go 2-0 here, look out because these are two good opponents. They're going to have technically not home court advantage, but they are going to have more fans there, I would guess, because it's so close to their campuses where both these games are going to be played. The three notable returners in Eli Mall, he averaged 24.2 minutes, 11.1 points, and 4.3 rebounds last year. Brenton Napper, he averaged 5.9 points and 2 assists. And then Jake Essenminger, he averaged 3 points and 5.5 rebounds. So bringing back some good talent. They are a team who likes to play fast. Historically, they played fast last year. So that's something I expect here again. But again, I think when it all comes down to it and when it's all said and done, I think we have 6 wins that you never want to call any win a win in the bank. But I think you have 6 games where you're playing against Cleveland State, Mercyhurst, Northern Illinois, Central Michigan, Princeton, and Chicago State. I think those should all be fairly easy wins if we play up to our standard. And then you got the 6 games with North Texas, Wichita, Colorado State, Northern Iowa, and then obviously the winner of that or loser of that San Jose State. And who was the other team in that?
Tulsa.
No, yeah, so San Jose State, Tulsa, and then you got
Northern
San Francisco
Iowa, yeah.
and Santa Clara to finish off the non-conference slate before they open up with Rhode Island in A10 play. But again, another
Boots on
big
ground for
game
me.
here. All right, I love that. I think I'm going to be there on Monday night, so I'm looking forward to
Nice.
that.
Beautiful. Yeah, the with the subtraction of UMass from the not that that's
Yeah.
a necessarily good drive for me. It would take me about 2 hours to get out to UMass, but Rhode Island's like 40 minutes from me, so I'll definitely be boots on
Gotcha.
ground on New Year's Eve for that one.
Beautiful. But yeah, no, again, that's a game against Santa Clara. Go out, win it, and I think this is going to probably be the second or third most difficult game in the non-con behind
Yeah.
San Fran and then probably Colorado State. But again, I think we got the talent. I think we're a more talented team. And if we can go out there and sweep these games in California, I think we could be looking at 13-0 and get into A10 play and really have a target on our back from the other 3 teams in the conference when that slate starts.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong with Santa Clara. This is the first time we'll be seeing someone who was ruled eligible by the NCAA despite playing professionally in the G League for 2 seasons. I'm gonna butcher this name. Thierry Darlin. He's coming over from the G League for 2 years, was somehow ruled eligible because
Yeah, it
college
makes no
athletics
sense.
makes no sense anymore.
Yeah.
Which, like, I guess I can get into that rant now, like, because I did have it on the docket. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, does that mean that minor league baseball players can now go play college baseball? Like,
Yeah, I know.
could
I don't get it.
yeah, could like a Dominican like signee of like the Red Sox or Cubs just be like, oh, actually, I'm gonna go play at Vanderbilt for 2 years? Like, I don't get that at all. Like, I mean, so many of these guys, like, playing professionally is so much different. Like you're playing against guys that have already done their 4 years of eligibility and are now like these guys are playing against like Lucas Williamson in the G League, like who already
Yeah,
played, who
I
have
know.
been removed from college athletics for what 4 years now.
4
Lucas
years,
has
I
been,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like that makes no sense to me. It makes no sense at all. And it's I don't know if you saw Matt Painter get asked a question in one of his press
I
conferences
think I
about
did
that.
see that.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
he was like, that NBA Sentinel account.
Yeah.
He was like, I thought it was that when I first saw
Yeah, the NBA
it.
Sentinel. Great account.
Yeah. And I saw Kim English, the Providence head coach. He's recruiting. I believe it's San Francisco, Xavier, Providence, and one other school who are recruiting some G League player that's looking to come to college basketball. And he got asked a question, and he gave an odd answer, which I saw someone who's a Providence fan like raise the red flag on this one when he gave the answer, and now it comes out that he's recruiting them. That he's like, yeah, like we're looking like in the new age of college basketball, we're scouring all ends of the earth looking to find guys that we can find. Like, we have our compliance officer, we have our AD, we have, like, we're all hands on deck looking anywhere we can to find talent. And it's just so stupid that it should come in essentially minor league basketball, because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
professional.
I know. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but that's the way it is now. So crazy stuff.
Yep. Couple rankings notes for Santa Clara. Like I said, they're fourth in the WCC preseason poll, 84th in the Kevin Sweeney ranking, and lower in the Ken Palm, sitting at 105, but 93rd rated offense compared to 123rd rated defense. Obviously, I don't know how much stock to put into these Ken Palm ratings because it's just all based on projections and models, and I'm sure he has his models squared away to a T and like has them ready to go. Ultimately, the game's played on a court, so like you can't just look at your models and be like, sure, they're a good reference point, but once we start getting games played, we'll have a better idea of where these teams might fall.
Yeah, it's tough to tell anything when you're just kind of guessing. It reminds me of the preseason AP poll, and look how
Yeah.
well that's going for the voters in football this year. So I know he's using algorithms and numbers and stuff that I don't really understand, but I know that's what he's using, I believe. And you never really know, though, until these teams get on the court. So excited to get some real numbers in there that we can base these rankings off of and start seeing the ball actually go through the hoop on the court. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and we're less than a week away. So I'm,
Yeah.
like I said, can't wait.
Yeah, definitely. And that is, I didn't even realize that was the last non-con game that we had to preview. So we can kind of just talk about the schedule as a whole. I think we kind of touched on it a little bit in the last episode, but it is such a marked improvement from what they did last year. Like, obviously, you had the one good test against San Francisco. The Princeton game ended up being a little bit of a dud. You end up in a pretty disappointing MTE. Not that like it would have really mattered because you got swept.
Yep.
But, like, obviously, Nebraska being the best team in that one wasn't ideal. So for you to have, like you said, you have 6 games where you can, like, obviously, you don't want to take it for granted and you still need to go out and take care of business, but you have 6 games that you're going to be double-digit favorites in. I think that's fair to say. And then you have, 6 games where it's going to be a little bit of a toss-up. I think they're probably better than San Jose State and Tulsa. I think UNI is probably going to have a little chip on their shoulder, being like, all right, these guys left this conference because they thought that we weren't good enough to play. Like, let's fucking show them.
Yeah.
So I think that one could be a little bit of a tough one. And then obviously the North Texas, Wichita, Colorado State stretch is going to be tough before you get into this California stretch. But if you end up going 13-0 and heading into A10 play, like, you're probably looking at a ranked team, and you're a team that's in fantastic position to wind up a at-large team.
Yep, I agree with you there. But yeah, there's 6 games where, I guess 7, where you can not pencil in a win, but those are games, if we lose any of them, very disappointing. So I think we should win those. And then you mentioned it, the other 6 going to be tough games, and that's what you want to see. You don't want to have 13 games where it's just like complete walkover, which is kind of what we had last year. So having games that are going to be difficult and games that are going to be challenging to really get us ready for A10 play, as well as boost the resume more than we could have last year by winning those games. It's a big opportunity for these guys, and I know that Drew's going to have them ready to go in all of them.
Yeah, and I think one key thing about this team is that it's a lot deeper than it was last year. And obviously, injuries tested the depth of the team so much more than we ever could have expected to. But on the other hand, it's also a team that didn't have a backup point guard. Like, that was a flaw on the roster. Like, I think that at certain points, again, sure, you could say that Jalen Quinn was technically the backup point guard, but I'm not a big Jalen Quinn guy.
I'm also not.
Yeah, like, there were some days where he looked like he was the best player ever, and then other days where he looked like he never picked up a basketball before. So
I feel like it was more the latter too.
yeah, definitely. And he's a guy that thrived in the Valley, but I think the jump up in competition against A10 opponents, he's really where we kind of saw his faults come through. And
Yeah.
I saw someone, he's at Drake now, obviously. I saw a Drake reporter fan, I don't know who it was, when they had an exhibition, they were like, Jalen Quinn was the best player on the court today, which, good for him. Hopefully he can move down and go back to thriving and playing a little bit better there. Like, I think that's one of the good things about the transfer portal in the new age, is that you can have a guy like that who's like, all right, I need a change of scenery. I can go down. And I mean, we see it on this Loyola roster too, with Dominic Harris and Xavier Amos and a bunch of guys, Jalen Deloach last year, who take the step up and are like, all right, maybe I got in a little bit above my britches here.
Yeah.
And wind up finding a place that's a better fit for them. with all those, well, with Deloach, we saw that it was a good fit for him, and he was a great player for them last year, and hopefully Amos and Harris and the rest of those transfers find that as well.
Yep. No, I think that they are going to be good here. I do think that they're going to be able to have big seasons. So I'm looking forward to that. I know we went over all that last week with all the guys that we were able to get in the portal, and I think it's going to be a lot of strong additions for us. And obviously, we lost some guys, and best of luck to them. But I like what we have here on this team and on the current roster right now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at I'm looking at the schedule now on the website, and has some of the TV networks. Quick note on this Santa Clara game. It's on Baller TV, whatever that is.
That's probably like some computer website.
We're gonna have to pay to, like, we're definitely gonna have to pay to watch this Santa Clara
Yeah,
game.
that's
That is
ridiculous.
so annoying.
That's a big game too. I don't get
Yeah.
it. That was
Yeah,
the way
that's
that it was when we
ridiculous.
played. Like we scheduled the game. It was like the weird COVID 2020,
Yeah.
2021 year, and we played San Francisco in like Utah or something.
Yeah, like
It was like
Salt
in
Lake
a high
City
school
Community
gym.
College.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I remember it was like some weird website where it wasn't on TV. I know we won that game, so that was fun, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like, there's
That
so many
website
of
was
those games.
free.
Yeah, there's so many
Yeah,
of these
Baller
games that
TV.
are just on like some random website. It's like, well, I want to like some random school, and it's like, it's got games on during the day. It's like, oh, I'll
Yeah.
check this game out. It's like, oh, you have to pay $10 for the day to watch like this
Yeah, Flow
tournament. It's like,
Sports. Yeah.
okay, well, there's other games on that I can watch, so
Yeah,
I'm not
let's
paying. I'll pay
yeah,
for this, like, if if it's the paid website with a paywall, but
yeah, it looks like it is. I don't see any price points, but I'm on ballertv.com right now, and it definitely says
come on,
sign up.
Baller TV.
Yeah, what are we doing here? That might be one that I'm just Rambler Sports Network, and
Yeah,
for this, I mean, I'll probably pay for it, but yeah, that is so annoying. Why is there
very
no,
annoying.
and there's no way to see what the price points look like without registering.
That's just, yeah, makes no sense, but
Whatever.
is what it
Yeah.
is with TV and
Baller
sports
TV,
now.
you are now on the list. You were on the list, Baller TV. You have made an enemy out of the Ramble On podcast.
You have, yeah.
So I think that's a good transition point to get into our season predictions. We can start with our record. We kind of hinted at where we were both leaning earlier in the episode, but you want to kick us off here with the episode?
Yep. I have us going. Let me pull it up here. Yep, I've got us going 27-4. So obviously, I'm probably on the high end here among a lot of people. I know we're going to be good. I know a lot of people predict that we're going to be good. 24 though, that's a record where I'm thinking even if we don't win the A10 tournament, we're going to find ourselves dancing no matter what. So again, I love this roster with the returning players, with the guys that are coming in through the portal, with the coach we have and Drew Valentine, the staff. They're going to be out there playing for Sister Jean, and I just think that this is going to be a very good basketball team this year. And again, I can't wait to watch them play. So I've got them 27-4. Overall, I've got them 15-3 in A10 play. So I do see them dropping. I think they're going to drop one of those games in California. I'm not sure which one. I hope they don't. I hope they go 2-0 and they finish that non-con undefeated. But I do think they're going to drop one of those games against either San Francisco or Santa Clara. But again, you go 12-1 in that non-con, I'd say that's a big success.
Yeah, so I wonder if we have the same 4 losses, because I also have 27-4, 15-3 in conference. I agree with you. I counted the San Francisco one as a loss, but I think if you split that California trip, it's still a pretty successful road trip. Whichever one is whichever one. Like, obviously, I think San Francisco would be better metric-wise in terms of getting a win, so hopefully that's the one they win. But like you said, obviously the goal is to go out there and go 2-0. So I had them dropping one of those 2 games, and then I had them splitting with Dayton. That was one of the other losses I had. I had them losing at VCU and then splitting with St. Louis.
Yeah, I had them splitting with Dayton and splitting with St. Louis. And then I'm not sure where another loss would come. At VCU is obviously going to be a tough game. Excuse me. But they lost a lot of talent from last year. They lost their coach, so they're not going to be as good. But eventually, like, also you do lose a game to an inferior opponent. So I think that's when that'll happen against whoever it might be on the road. You never really know, but I think we're pretty much spot on there with how we see the record going out, which is hopefully that's a good thing and not a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely on the high end of things, and like obviously we're
Yeah.
biased when looking at things. So
Hmm.
like St. Joe's on the road, that's always a tough environment to play in. But I I'm familiar with Steve Donahue's work from his time at BC, so I'm not uber impressed with him. And
Okay.
what the hell was that? Billy Lang, their coach that jumped ship to be on the Knicks coaching staff. Is that right? He jumped
I'm
ship to
not
be on an
sure,
NBA
but
coaching staff,
yeah,
but
that sounds
yeah,
right.
obviously he kind of hung them out to dry there, leaving so late in the process. But there are plenty of games that could be droppable games. So I think we're on the high
Hmm.
end. Either way, like
Definitely
I
on the
think we're
high end.
looking,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we're looking at a team that like at most is losing like 5 or 6 conference games.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's kind of what it's been the last 2 years, and I'm
Yeah.
expecting them to improve on that a little bit.
Yeah, which I guess we can give our finish in the A10. I had them finishing second in the A10. I think VCU is going to win it.
Okay, I've
Yeah. So,
no, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say, what do you have?
Oh yeah, nope. I've got them. I've got them winning the league in the regular season. I've also got them winning the Atlantic 10 tournament, and my hopes are very high. Obviously, I'm very biased, but I think this is a team that's going to do very well this season. They're going to win the regular season and the conference tournament. I think we're going to have a single digit next to our name come Selection Sunday.
That would be incredible if they. I mean,
Fingers
like you said,
crossed, anyway.
yeah. If we're looking at 27-4 going into the A10 tournament, you think that should be enough to be an at-large team, but obviously it would be great to make a statement, win the A10 tournament, and and like you said, be a 7, 8, 9 seed, maybe even higher depending on how things shake out. I also had them making the tournament there, obviously at 27-4, second in the A10. I didn't go as far as you as to make a tournament prediction as far as the A10 tourney goes, or in the big dance. I see you have a tourney prediction there too.
Might
But
be a
yeah, I have
little
them
low
in.
on that.
Yeah,
I might
well,
be with my
national champion.
tournament.
It's in the Open, so
Yeah,
it
it
must be
is.
true.
I only have them Sweet 16, but I hope I'm wrong on that, and it's national championship, so.
Yes, yeah. So we both have them making the tournament. You have them making a run. Then we can get into some of our player awards here as we get into continue to get into our season predictions. So do you want to kick us off with your MVP of the year?
Yep. I think this guy was the secondary MVP last year, just behind Jaden Dawson. I think he is going to be the most valuable player on the team this year, and that would be Miles Rubin. He's just such a force down low. He's so good on the defensive end. He's so good at blocking shots, protecting the rim, rebounding the basketball. He was so much better compared from his freshman year to his sophomore year, just in terms of staying out of foul trouble. Even though he did still have problems getting into foul trouble, he was so much better last year at avoiding that and staying on the floor, which is something that they're going to need because I think he is the most talented player. I think he's the best player on the team. And I believe that his offensive side is going to take a jump this year because I think he's going to be the focal point of the offense with Dawson now gone. And I think they're going to try and give him the ball early and often. I think it's going to be a situation where he needs to touch the ball on every possession down the floor. I know we said this time and time again, but if he was able to develop even just a short mid-range jumper, I think he could win not only MVP for Loyola, but I think he could win Player of the Year in the Atlantic 10. I think he's that good. I think he's that special. He's that athletic. So as long as he stays healthy, and again, he can improve yet again on staying out of foul trouble and playing 30, 35 minutes a game, I think he's going to be the best player on the team, and he's my MVP for this upcoming season.
Yeah, and like you said, the focal point of the offense, we saw him last year working in the screen game up at the top of the paint and around the key where he was getting touches on pretty much every possession, and that opens up the entire offense. It's similar to the type of offense that we saw the Ramblers run with Cam Trutwig, where he was getting a touch every time. My selection isn't Miles Rubin. It's not a knock on Miles. I think it's going to be a pretty similar situation where it's like 1A, 1B in terms of best players, and I kind of just wanted to go with an outside the box pick. So I went with Justin Moore, returning, coming off of the torn ACL. If he can even get a little bit of an improvement in the jump shot, which we know that he was working with Keith Clemens on, like I detailed it in the last episode, thanks to Sudi and CT for explaining it to me on their podcast and then in the broadcast of the DePaul game. But if he can develop any bit of a 3-point game, he's going to be so lethal. We know how careful he is with the ball. The assist to turnover ratio, I believe when he went down, was top 25 in all of college basketball last year. So for him to come back and be fully healthy, I think is going to be a huge boost to this team. And they're looking to replace Jaden Dawson. Like they simply are. Like you said, it was 1A, 1B last year. So someone's going to have to step up and fill that void. And I think a fully healthy Justin Moore is going to be that guy that can do that.
Yep, I think I think he's going to be the Robin to Miles Rubin's Batman. And if it's the other way around, I think that either way, both those two guys are going to be the two best players on the team. And he's just such a facilitator. He's so careful with the ball, like you said, and he just makes everybody out there on the floor better, which is what great players do. I mean, I know it's talked about time and time again with especially guys in the NBA. When you go any number of great NBA players, and it's like, well, you know what, this guy's so great is because just his talent alone, but also he just makes the other four guys on the team so much better around him when he's out there. And that's couldn't be more true of Justin Moore, I think, because he really does make this team. He is the engine that's going to make this team go this year. So I love that pick, and I was close to picking him as well. I went with Miles, but again, hopefully we got co-MVPs, and those guys are just superstars for us this year. And I think they will be.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, part of the reason, or part of my thought process too, was we saw the hit that the offense took when Moore went down, at least for a little bit while they kind of got their bearings under them. So like you said, he's the motor that makes the offense go, and at least was for those first 8 games heading into that San Francisco game before, unfortunately, his knee exploded. But yeah, coming back fully healthy, hopefully developed a jump shot that is at least a little bit of a threat to make you think about it, and that'll just make him that much more dangerous off the dribble.
Yep, no, I just have Ruben right now, but I could very well see both these guys making the in the team. The A10 is so deep, and there's so many great players in the conference. I think it might be tough for any one team to get multiple players, so I think that's the only reason why I only have Miles on there. But again, I definitely can see both those guys making the first team, and I'd be shocked if these guys didn't make any of the teams. I mean, they should make first or second team. I think both of them pretty handily.
Yeah, definitely. So we got that out of the way. MVP and all A10 members. Defensive Player of the Year. This is another one we don't have to spend too much time on.
A pretty easy one.
Yeah, pretty easy one. We both have Miles Rubin. Drew calls him the best defender in the country. He knows he's the best defender in the A10, a guy who was absolutely robbed last year of A10 Defensive Player of the Year. He comes into this year in just 2 years, already second on the all-time blocks list for the Ramblers. He's at 161. That is absolutely crazy. Just looking at it in
yeah, averaging 2.3 in both of his freshman and sophomore seasons so far. I mean,
161 blocks. The record, Andre Moore playing from 1984 to 1987 with 176. So if he continues up that 2.4 blocks per game pace, he's going to pass Andre Moore pretty quickly here and be the leading blocker in Rambler history. But it's not just that. He can guard all 5 positions on the court. Obviously, you don't love him defending on the outside, but he's definitely capable of doing it. I think when it's all said and done, we're talking about a guy who's mentioned in that Cam Crutwig, Lucas Williamson, Dante Ingram, Marcus Towns level, Clayton Custer of like Loyola greats. Like that's the type of player he is. And like honestly, all of those guys have played professionally at various levels, but I think Miles Rubin is like a full-fledged NBA player.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say, really anything else to say. I think you hit the nail on the head here. He's again, he was robbed in the A10 last year for not winning the Defensive Player of the Year. I don't only think he's going to be the best defensive player on our team, but I think he's going to be the best defensive player in the conference and one of the best defensive players in the entire country. So, yeah, again, you hit the nail on the head there. Completely agree with everything you said. And again, I can't wait to watch this guy play. And I think he's going to show us the improvements that he made. And he's really going to take a leap that people are talking about. I'm not just on podcasts like this and not just in Chicago or the Atlantic 10, but I think he's going to be so good. He's going to get some national attention as well. And he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on, we've got our most improved player. We have 2 different guys for this one. I've got Daniil Glazkov, who remained at Loyola after an up and down freshman year for him. It seemed like at times he was trying to do too much, and something typical that was like that can be said for a lot of freshmen as they come into college basketball. It's just when you're playing in high school, you're the best player on the floor by far. Like these types of guys that play at schools like this. So like you kind of can do whatever you want. And I think that there was a lot of improvement that we saw from Glasgow, but I think a little bit now is going to be him getting more refined in his role and knowing what to do when he has the ball in his hands instead of like, okay, like I can drive and do some ridiculous like up and under layup that doesn't go. Like I think he's going to be a much improved player. I think we saw him with a little bit of happy feet on the defensive end. He got into foul trouble in limited minutes when he did play last year. So I'm excited to see him take a step forward and hopefully be a guy that can step up for this team coming off the bench.
Yeah, I think he's going to take a big step. I'm happy that we were able to hold on to him because he just played limited minutes. He wasn't great, obviously, last year, but excited to see what he does, and I think he's certainly going to see more minutes this season. So love that pick. I got to be honest, when you put MIP, I thought you were talking about most important player, which I guess kind of coincides with most valuable player, but I was going to say most important player, Justin Moore, just because we saw the difference between having him out there and not having him out there last year. I
That's
think
my
he's just
fault.
so important to the team. But I'll also go with most improved player. I mean, I know you were talking about him and his shot and how he was working with Keith Clemens, and if he can start making threes and start shooting the ball like that while being the facilitator out there, I think he will be the most improved player because he'll go from being a guy who is very good and very important to the team to being one of the best players in the conference, and I think that would be a big leap for him. And he certainly got the talent, certainly got the skill to do it. So he is my most important player and my most improved player.
Yeah, I see. I like I liked the pick too when I saw it. Obviously we were not on the same page there, which is my fault for not
All good.
spelling it out. But I did like the pick there too, because like you said, with the jump shot working with Keith, like that'd be a major improvement for him to develop an
Hmm.
outside shot. Because like I said when I was talking about him as my MVP pick, like it just makes him that much more lethal off the dribble, etc. And obviously we talked about it a lot when talking about the newcomers and their 3-point prowess. But replacing Sheldon Edwards and Jaden Dawson, like that is so much offensive production that you lost. Like it's gonna have to come from somewhere. And we know that this offense obviously likes the three ball. And I think that this year, like I said in the last episode, Drew said that this was the best 3-point shooting team he's had since his first year as head coach, which I think is really says something about the roster that he has here. I was going to do 6-man of the year, but we don't really know how the rotations are going to play out. So like we could be like, I would have said Daywolk Tavares, but I think there's a chance that he's going to be starting.
Yeah.
So I passed up on that one. But we do have newcomer of the year, which that is my guy, Daywolk Tavares. If you heard my love letter to him in the last episode, that was probably not a surprise to you to see his name there under that one. But
It was not, yeah.
geez, excuse me. Yeah, but I've got Daywolk Tavares coming in. Obviously, we saw what he can do in Hawaii playing for Charleston, but I just think he's such a lethal 3-point shooter, and I think he's going to fit in with this kind of grinded out mentality, like it's earned, not given at this school. I think he's going to be a fantastic fit here, so I'm really excited to see him on Monday and throughout the season.
I'm also really looking forward to seeing him. I was between him and Dominic Harris. I wound up going with Dominic Harris for a couple reasons. One, I just think the amount of big-time basketball that he's played, both with Gonzaga and UCLA, is going to benefit him very well. I know we saw Jalen Deloach last year, who played for Georgia, and then he went down to Loyola. I mean, maybe not down, but in terms of the SEC to the A10, I guess it is down. And I think that he improved as a player so much from playing in that big time, big environments. So I'm going with Dominic Harris here. I think he's going to be fantastic. I know at LMU 2 years ago, he shot about 45% from behind the arc. And if he can do that, that is going to be a huge, huge addition for this Loyola team. And because of that, and because I think he's going to be able to repeat that and have a year like he did with the other LMU or the other Loyola out in Los Angeles, he's going to be able to repeat that with the Loyola in Chicago. So that's why he is my newcomer of the year, just because I think he's going to be lethal from three. And again, he's had big time experience playing both in the Big Ten at UCLA and playing at a school like Gonzaga, where you're playing in the West Coast Conference, but you're also playing a lot of highly talented teams from other Power 5 schools in the non-con. So he's seeing it all. and that's why I've got Harris as my newcomer of the year.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I had a lot of trouble trying to decide who I was going to pick here. I think they added some really,
I
really
did have
solid
prob yeah.
players here. Yeah, like I thought about picking Josh Ola Joseph. I thought about
Thought
picking
about
Xavier
him.
Amos. Yeah, I really all of these transfers I think are going to have major, major impacts. And even Cade Dotson coming in and being a floor general to spell Justin Moore, however much it was. He played 20. I'm looking at the box score now from yesterday's exhibition. He played 27 minutes, shot 50% from the field, 4 of 7 from 3, 17 points. He was the leading scorer for the team. Like, so I'm really excited about what Drew did in this portal. And I think last year the pick would have been pretty easy. I'm trying to think of the roster now, actually. Maybe it wouldn't have been that easy. Oh, Justin Moore.
Yeah.
Coming in. I think that would have been my pick for newcomer of the year. And obviously we have the benefit of hindsight there a little bit, but yeah, I really like what Drew did. Like, I think this was Drew. This was a Drew Valentine masterclass in the
Yep.
portal.
It was, it's the Breaking Bad meme where it's Walt and he's in the lab and he's like, "Somebody cooked here."
Yes, yeah.
That was Drew this offseason. It's always a good problem when you're having a tough time picking between who's gonna be the best player of these newcomers. That means that there's gonna be a lot of them. So I'm hoping that all of them are the, newcomers of the year, because if that's the case, then I think our predictions of a very good season are gonna come to light and be true. So, yeah, it's always a good problem to have when you have a tough time picking between that sort of thing. But yeah, Drew cooked here. He did a fantastic job. I can't wait to see all these guys on Monday night and obviously for the entire season.
Yeah, and then the last one here for our preseason predictions for the Ramble on awards. The freshman of the year, different from the newcomer of the year because I didn't think that either of the freshmen really had a chance to be picked for newcomer of the year with the new age transfer portal. We both talked about these guys, or we talked about both these guys last week in part one of our season preview. But Nick Anderson and Chuck Love, we both have Chuck Love here for this one. I think it kind of ties back into we both kind of figured that Nick Anderson was a little bit more of a project than Chuck Love, and we don't know how much we're going to see Anderson this year. So we both had Chuck Love. I sent you a DM on
I got that.
Instagram
Yeah.
yesterday.
Very
Yeah, of him with
exciting.
the putback dunk. I said I love Chuck Love. No pun intended there. But we both had him. I think it'll be interesting to see how they work him in and how many minutes they get. Obviously, we saw Daniil Glazkov. I forget how to say his first name now. Saifuddin Endawi.
And now yeah.
Yeah, Glazkov and any number of guys work in last year as freshmen, but that was more out of necessity rather than like ability on the court. I think, like we said, Chuck Love 4-star coming in. I'm sure there have been other 4-stars coming in, but I would have to imagine that we're talking about one of the top recruits in Rambler basketball here, at least in recent memory. So I'm excited to see how they work him in. But from people that were at the exhibition yesterday, they were very impressed with Nick Anderson. I think I saw someone on Twitter. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't give you the proper shout out, but credit to you, who said, I think we might have something special here with the Chuck Love, Nick Anderson freshman class, which is very encouraging to see.
Yep. No, I love that. I'm very excited to watch both these guys play. I'm just looking up Chuck Love's stats. I believe this is from his senior year last year, where he played out in Lincoln, Nebraska, but he averaged 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. I know he went on and talked about it last week. But this is a 4-star guy. I think he's the highest recruit that Loyola has had commit to them. So it's obviously a very good, very talented player. And in a lot of these cases where you got a freshman coming in, they don't play very much just because they got to get used to the college game. They're not physical enough. They're not big enough. They're not strong enough. I don't think that's the case here with Love. He's 6'7", 195 pounds, at the small forward position. He was a 4-star prospect according to 247 Sports, so I think he's going to make an impact right away, and I think that's why just playing more minutes and being more college Division I ready, I think, is why we both have Love here as our freshman of the year here.
Yeah, certainly. So that's all we have for our season predictions for the Ramble on awards, which of course we will do whenever the season ends. Hopefully that comes the first weekend in April. Yeah, second weekend in April, whenever it may be. But we do have a basketball game to preview here against Cleveland State. We don't have to get too in-depth into it because we did do that last week in the first part of the preview. But the Vikings coming in, like we said, they aren't returning a single minute from last year's team as their head coach left for North Texas. So we will see Cleveland State of last year just wearing the mean green uniform in Hoffman Estates. So we'll dive into this game here, and then we'll be back at you next week to preview the next set of games. But you want to give the people a refresher on the Vikings?
Yep, going to be a lot of what we talked about last week. But again, the Vikings, they've been very good in the Horizon League over the last half decade. They won the league in 2021. They went dancing, and I remember they were a 15 seed. They were playing against Houston as a 2 seed. I remember taking Cleveland State and the points in that one. I think it was like 17, 18 points. I think Houston won the game by like 40. So that was a loss. But again, you go to the tournament anytime out of the Horizon League when you're a school like Cleveland State. That's a huge success. They won the regular season title in 2021 and 2022. Last year, they finished in second place in the Horizon League at 14-6 in conference with a 23-13 record overall. We mentioned it, former Loyola assistant Daniel Robinson, he left for the Mean Green of North Texas, who again we're going to see in the third game of the season, and they're bringing in Rob Summers to take over for the Vikings. So, Zach, you mentioned it. They don't bring back a single player who played a single minute for them. With Robinson leaving for North Texas, they had 4 guys follow him there to Denton. So, a lot of new blood on this team. We'll see how gelling they are and how well they're playing as a team together, because obviously this is going to be their first real game playing meaningful minutes for Cleveland State. But again, I know we said this and earlier in this episode, but this should be a game where I think guys are going to be fired up. It's opening night. Crowd should be big at Gentile. Students should be loud. And again, that's first game without Sister Jean. I know they're going to play hard for her. I think this is a game where we just absolutely obliterate them. We don't have the spread yet, but whatever the spread is, I will be backing us here because I think this is a game we're going to just absolutely dominate.
Yeah. To me, this game is more about Loyola than it is the opponent on the other side. Like, I'm interested to see what Justin Moore looks like in that new jump shot in a game that actually matters. I'm interested to see what some of the rotations look like, because to me, these first 2 games against Cleveland State and Mercyhurst are figuring out the rotations that you like you said, like these are 2 gimmies. Like, I would guess that Mercyhurst is a team that you're going to be favored by 20 plus points against. I would guess that Cleveland State's going to be pushing that number as well. If I had my druthers about it, yeah, like you said, I'll be backing them there too. But I'm interested to see how they use some of these guys and what kind of roles guys settle into. Obviously, it's still early in the season, and those roles are going to evolve. Like we said in our preview last week, and then again in this episode, these first 2 games are really just a primer to figure things out before you get into the North Texas, Wichita State, Colorado State stretch, and then you can kind of assess where you go from there, leading up into that California road trip, which again is another huge swing in the non-con.
Yep, and these games are obviously very important, and you made a great point there. Trying to get the rotations figured out, trying to see what you're going to do, kind of as a test run, even though it is a real game that counts. And you always got to be careful here. You got to be ready to go, and I don't have any doubts that they're not going to be ready to go. I think they're going to be fired up and going to have foot on the gas from the time the ball is tipped in the air until the final buzzer sounds. But again, we had last season where it was, or not last season, it was, I think, 2022, and this was the year that Farley Dickinson actually wound up going to the tournament. So they were a lot better than a lot of people thought. But I remember we opened that game up against Farley Dickinson, and we were favored by close to 30 points. I think the line was like 27 and a half. And this was a game where we thought we were going to go in and it was going to be a walkover. We were going to win by 30. We wound up needing a big shot from Sheldon Edwards to send it to overtime at the buzzer, wound up winning the game. I'm in a very close game in overtime. So again, that was just a case of not being ready to go and not being ready to play. So if they are ready to play, which I fully expect them to be, again, I think this is going to be a game we win very handily, and it's going to be a great start to the season.
Yes, yeah, I couldn't agree more. So, like I said, this is the only game we're going to preview for the first 2. We're going to be back next week after this one to preview Mercyhurst and then North Texas on the 9th. Final thoughts here. I assume you saw the Sister Jean patch on the jersey.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, I think it's a great patch, and I know
Yeah,
like
it's
some teams
fantastic.
just do like a black band or something. My only complaint is I don't love the placement of it, but it's kind of tough with the Nike logo and the A10 logo. Like it kind of pushes stuff
Hmm.
like that further up the
Yeah,
arm.
it's
But
hard.
there's yeah, like that's nitpicking here when we're talking about something like that. But I like that they did the I don't want to call it like an animation, but like the drawing of her on the patch, like
Hmm.
her face and everything. And it's also I saw somebody tweeted the picture from inside Gentile. It's in the middle of all the A10 logos along the wall of Gentile. So I think that's a really nice touch. I'd like to see them add it to the court. I think that would be a nice touch on the court, especially because it's such a great emblem. Like I said, I think it's better than just putting like Sister Jean on a black stripe and putting it on your jersey. I think it's way more personal and way nicer touch than doing something like that to have what they did.
Yeah, no, I think the patch is obviously fantastic. I love what they did. I think it looks great on the jersey. You mentioned it. It is tough to have it with all the you got the Nike logo, the A10 logo, the this logo, the that logo. So it is hard to find a good placement, but I think it's going to be great to have that on there. And again, I agree with you. Something on the court would be very cool as well. We'll see if they have that ready for opening night or not. But if they could have something like that as well, I think that'd be a great tribute. But yeah, very exciting. And I can't believe college basketball is here. It's always a long 5 months with when you finish the season in April and the tournament's over. And you go through summer and obviously you got baseball and we've had football on. But basketball is one of my favorite sports. I just love watching it. It's so enjoyable to me. It's such a great atmosphere. It's just the best. So I can't wait for the season to get going on Monday night, and I can't wait to record next week. Hopefully after a big win and a big start to the season.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. Hopefully, we're looking at 1-0 when we get back together here to record next week. Until then, thank you so much for tuning in. Another reminder, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Entering Kenmore is the page you're looking for there. You'll find all of our videos, clips, and whatnot, along with some Red Sox baseball content and some other exciting stuff that we have planned, both baseball, basketball, college football content-wise. So that's going to be the hub for all of our video content moving forward. Make sure to follow us and the podcast on Twitter at Ramble on Pod, at @co_Zach, and at GG Gabra. The new TikTok, like I said, is up and running. That one's at Ramble on Pod with an underscore. That's also the same handle as our Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like. It means a lot in terms of the algorithm, so we appreciate anyone watching there, and we will see you next week.